Hey, welcome to the Tyson Draper Show. I'm glad you guys are here. Excuse me. Today we're going to be talking about the situation with Barry Morphew in Maysville, Colorado. And before I get too carried away, I want to check my microphone and make sure it's doing good. And so if somebody could give me a thumbs up in the comments, I would greatly appreciate that. Now, I'm glad that you guys are here because I started it about 15 minutes early because I wanted to go ahead and get this finished because I have some other stuff going on tonight. So thank you guys for jumping on here at short notice, and welcome all you guys that are going to watch this later as a recording on YouTube. I appreciate your guys' support and your love. So, thank you, Justice Jane, saying I looking good with my white shirt and tie. So yeah, I thought I'd kind of dress up for the occasion today. So anyway, yeah, what we got on tap tonight, ladies and gentlemen, this case has more twists and turns than a bucket of snakes, doesn't it? Ups and downs and all arounds. And so we're going to just get right into it tonight and talk a little bit about some of the latest stuff that's going on. Hi, from somebody saying hi here from, let's see, where are you from? Cookeville, Tennessee. Thank you very much for tuning in all the way from Tennessee. It's really nice to have all you guys from the different states on here, different countries around the world. It's really humbling and really flattering that you guys enjoy my content and that we've taken this journey together now, going on almost 3 years. And thank you, Terry Holiday, for giving me the thumbs up on my microphone. So we're doing good. So some of the things I want to talk about today, I want to mention this first and foremost. I've been meaning to say this in some of my last videos and kept forgetting, but I want this podcast or this YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it, I want it to be a refuge from the world. I want it to be a safe place where you guys can come and we can have an honest, open discussion about some of these cases and some of the things going on around the world, and have it be a place where you guys can forget about politics. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Native, Asian, or the multitude of other races out there. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what creed. I don't care what religion you are. I just want this to be a happy place where everybody can join together, join our spirits and join our forces together, where we can put our energies towards something good in this world. And that it would be, in this case, trying to help find Suzanne Morphew. So I think collectively we can do great things, you guys. I think we're dealing with, nowadays especially, principalities, powers, darknesses, evil that's unseen to the naked eye, and we're up against all these forces. But yet at the same time, we have all these good, positive, wonderful forces that are working with us as well. And I truly believe with all my heart that Suzanne Morphew is involved in this effort. And you can see it, evidence of that, all across the globe. And everything that we've done, you can see Suzanne's hand in this. And she hasn't uttered one word. She hasn't said one word in this, but we have been her mouthpiece, and we have been her spokespeople, and we have been able to get her voice out there, across many platforms and across many continents. And I'm humbled to be able to do that. And I'm humbled that you guys look to me as somebody that can kind of spearhead that and continue that voice. And, this case has been wild. It's been probably the most bizarre case that I have ever, well, with the exception of the Daybell case, that's pretty bizarre too. But I mean, this one's weird because we had so much time pass, and then Barry was arrested, and then, let out, and now it's a lawsuit for $15 million, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. So this case is far from over. But I wanted to start this off by saying that, and giving people a chance to gather in here. We have over 100 people in here now, which is great, and it's going up steadily. So welcome. I hope this is a refuge from the world where you can come and you can find a little bit of hope and a little bit of happiness and joy. And again, it doesn't matter what creed we are or what we are. We're all for one purpose, and that is tonight we're going to be talking about Suzanne Morphew. And in the future, it may be somebody else. It may be somebody else that goes missing. It may be Nick Cordova out of Arizona. It may be something else. But tonight we're going to focus specifically on Suzanne Morphew, and we're going to dedicate this podcast entirely to her. And we're going to pray, and we're going to ask for her spirit to be with us tonight as we have this this discussion. And we're also going to ask the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of God, to be here with us too. We put him first and foremost. I want to start out by just kind of giving a recap of this case. I know you guys know it. You probably know it better than me, but we all collectively, we know this case pretty dang well. And I want to start out at the very beginning, back on Mother's Day, May 2020. You guys all know this, but just bear with me. For those people that are new or just popping in here or whatever, Suzanne Morphew supposedly went on a bike ride, according to her husband, Barry, and never returned. That's basically the gist of it, right? But there's a lot more than that. The investigation unfolded, and there was apparently some mistakes made by some rookie police officers that handled the bicycle. You can see that in the body cam footage. And then even after they drug it back up the hill, a lot of people were handling it, even Barry included, when he got back from Broomfield. So, mistake after mistake after mistake, and that's pretty common, especially in these smaller sheriff departments. And we're not gonna knock those guys for that. It's unfortunate that a lot of these mistakes were made. But I want to remind you guys that every single person that is listed in that lawsuit, and there's a lot of them, they have dedicated a lot of hours and time and energy into putting Barry behind bars and finding the person responsible for this, which in my opinion is none other than Barry Morphew. So, it's a tricky situation, guys. If you read the lawsuit, which I have, it's 185 pages long. I went through the whole thing. It took me a couple of hours, and it really got my blood boiling. I'm not going to lie, because there was a lot of stuff in there that, just really caused a lot of concern to me, because, you got to understand something. When they are trying to bring all the evidence before a grand jury and get an indictment, of course they're gonna be kind of biased toward, they're gonna kind of pick and choose, and I think they do that in all the cases. They do it in all of them, but I think where we fell a little short here on our end was some of the, we weren't providing the other side during the discovery period with a lot of the information that was going on. And one of those things that was crucial was the DNA evidence that was on Suzanne's glove box. It was also on the handlebars. It was also on the helmet, on the little cushion inside the helmet. From what I understand, it was the same individual that was from Arizona. And, or I don't know if he was from Arizona, but the cases were from Arizona, Phoenix, and Tempe, and then also a case out of Chicago. And then I was reading something about also Maryland. So anyway, there was some stuff that was overlooked. Perhaps they got a little hasty, and here we are, But so I told you I was going to give you a little recap of the case. I may go off on all kinds of different tangents because that's just kind of how my brain works, unfortunately. But right after Suzanne went missing, shortly after, Barry put the house up for sale, and he sold it, and he started liquidating all of his assets, and kind of kicking Suzanne's name off of everything and putting it all in his name. And anyway, he ended up selling the house. He ended up selling her cars. And not only that, one day when he was still up there on Puma Path, he was taking out the trash. You all know this story. But as he was depositing his garbage into the community trash can there on Puma Path, he ran into this gal named Shoshona Dark, or Darky, or I think it's Shoshona Dark. But I guess he fell in love. And decided that he was going to forget all about Suzanne, who's somewhere out there in the forest or somewhere out there in the world, but forget about her. I'm just going to go ahead and start a new love life. So Barry wasted no time selling things, getting girlfriends, and basically hiding out. Right around this same time, Suzanne has a brother named Andy Mormon, who is from Indiana, and I believe it's a small town called Alexandria, and that's where Suzanne grew up, and also Barry in that area. And Andy decided to come out and do a search, and it wasn't just a small search. It was a big search, and we had Profiling Evil, and we had some other people that provided these all kinds of like technology, and there was a lot of boots on the ground and stuff like that, and it was a big search. And when this search was going on, the great people of Salida, Colorado decided to hold a vigil for her. And what a wonderful thing in honor of Suzanne while her brother's in town, right, from Indiana. Well, guess who didn't show up? Barry didn't show up. So, just a lot of suspicious behavior, a lot of things that don't make sense to you and I and people that have been following this case for a long time. I want to tell you guys a little bit more about my personal situation, because I think it's fascinating. I really do. I think some of the situations that I've found myself in and the experiences that I had can really benefit other people. So I decided I was going to share some of those tonight. So a long time ago, when I first started this channel and was kind of getting the ball rolling with it, people were really starting to dig into my background and trying to tear me down and say that Barry was innocent and, all this stuff. But one of the things that they found out was that I had bought a house in Marion, Indiana. And I want to tell you guys the history on that a little bit, because it's going to tie in here. It's pretty interesting. So, I sold my house in Arizona, and I was looking for a house to buy as an investment. I like to flip houses. As a school teacher, I was a school teacher for about 15 years. And in the beginning of that, I started flipping houses during the summer. And it was kind of just like a family business, I guess you could say. Like my dad would help like front the money. And then I would pretty much do all the work all summer, and then we would flip the house, we'd sell it, and then we'd just split the money, basically. So I had all this knowledge over, a few years of doing this, and I tried to venture out on my own. And so I got on eBay one night, and I was looking at all these different houses across Texas, across Arizona, just all over the United States. And I had about 10 of them in mind. I was looking at about 10 different houses, and I was pondering which one to buy. And I was really thinking it over, and I wanted to make sure I got it right, because I only had a short time frame where I was going to go and do all the work on this house and flip it and put it up for sale, make some money, and come back to Arizona. That was kind of like the summer project. And so I thought about this for days and days and days, and I was watching these houses on eBay. And the one that I decided on was one in Indiana, and it was a small town called Marion, Indiana. And so I won it. I won the house. I bought it. I met the guy in Texas, and then drove on all the way to Indiana and drove out to this house. Well, when I got there, it's a long story, but I basically ended up staying the night in Alexandria, which is just about, I don't know, 20 miles or so from this house that I bought. So it was about 20 miles or maybe 15 miles, something like that, from where Suzanne Morphew grew up and where Barry grew up. And this is before this case even happened. So I didn't know anything about it. It hadn't happened yet. And so I stayed the night in Alexandria, Indiana. And I want to tell you a quick story what happened when I was there. When I saw the house, I saw that how much work it needed. I was looking for some help, and I've always had a close relationship with the missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I called the mission home because sometimes the young elders, they like to do service, they like to come help, and I needed some help cleaning this house out. And plus, more than anything, I just needed the company. You know, I was out there all by myself. So I called the mission home, and this guy answers, and I swear, I kid you not, he goes, "My name's Harry Potter." He says, "I'm the original Harry Potter." He said, "My name's Elder Potter." And so I said, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "Well, you have the missionaries give me a call." And so about 10 minutes later, the phone rang, and it was the young missionaries. And I was talking to this guy, this young guy, and he says, "Well, I'm from Arizona too." And I said, "No way." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What part of Arizona are you from?" And I told him, and he says, "That's where I'm from." And he says, "In fact, my dad went to school at this certain high school, and he knows you." And I said, "Wow." And I said, "Who's your dad?" And he told me the guy's name. And it was one of my old high school friends. It was his son that was out there on a mission. And so the young son and I became good friends over the next few weeks. We started working on the house. We started going to these meetings. We started just kind of hanging out, going and grabbing some pizza. And his dad called me about a week later, and he was in tears. And he said, "I just want you to know, Tyson, that my son was really homesick, and he was talking about coming home, and he was miserable. He just really didn't like being out there." And he says, "But ever since you've been there and been working with him, his attitude has totally changed, and he wants to stay out here now." So I just thought that was a really, really, really cool coincidence. If you believe in coincidences, which I don't. I just thought it was a really cool experience, and tying that back into the Suzanne Morphew case is pretty easy for me because all of this was happening just right down the road from Alexandria, Indiana, where she grew up, and where Andy Mormon now runs a what would you call that place? Like a root beer stand, kind of like a Hires root beer stand or whatever. I don't know if they still call it Hires, but yeah, Gene Mormon, Suzanne's dad, ran the root beer stand there for many years, and now Andy's running it. So it's and you know, it was just a stone's throw away from where we were fixing up that house. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was kind of a coincidence, but it kind of makes me wonder if maybe these internal swellings, these feelings, you know, if you want to call it being led or guided by the spirit or by energy, whatever you want to call it. I think it was starting even sooner than this case even happened. Now, here's what's crazy about that. So, as we fast forward a little bit, and this case started to unfold, just after the Andy Mormon search, we were invited to come out to Indiana, my brother and I, Dusty, and we were invited to go out there to Alexandria, Indiana, and go to they had a little car race. It was like a little Indy 500. And so Andy Mormon left tickets for us at the ticket office, and we showed up at the race. And it was kind of cool because it was one of the very first things that was happening right after COVID. So everybody was all excited to be back out in public and be out there enjoying themselves on this beautiful, cool, crisp night. So again, Dusty and I had the opportunity to go to Gene's root beer stand. We went to the thrift store. We hung out. We drove around all over Alexandria, Indiana. And then we went out to Delphi, Indiana, where those two girls were murdered, and walked the bridge and did a bunch of stuff. And here's the other thing. When we went to Delphi, Dusty and I went to Walgreens to go get some balloons and flowers for Abby and Libby, because they had a little memorial there right by the bridge, and we wanted to put some flowers, and we went to Walgreens. And as time went on and they started to find out who the murderer was for the Delphi case, the guy was working at Walgreens. And I briefly mentioned it to Dusty, and this was a while back, but we don't know if that guy was working that day, because we were in there talking to the store people like, yeah, we're going to go visit the memorial over here for Abby and Libby, and we're going to drop off these balloons and this teddy bear. And little did we know that guy was working in that very same, the only Walgreens in Delphi, Indiana, as far as I could tell. So pretty wild. Pretty wild. So you know what, guys, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in them. And I just think that sometimes we're led by that energy, by those forces, by the spirit, whatever you want to call it, to put ourselves in certain situations or to do certain things, to act. And I believe that that's happened several times since I've decided to act and put my boots on the ground and get out there and do it. So unfortunately for me and Dusty, we didn't get to enjoy the car race in Anderson that night, because as you guys know, I got slammed down by a police officer while we were there. I was standing up, shaking hands with people and talking to some of the people that grew up with Suzanne Morphew. And this cop was looking at me, and he's just looking at me. And I was like, what's this guy looking at? He's just staring at me with this weird look, and he just comes over and grabs me and slams me down on the bleachers, on the bench. And I told him, I said, you know what, man, you need to get your hands off me. What do you think you're doing slamming me down? And he says, well, yeah, I told you to go sit down and you're not listening to me and all this and that. So it was wild, man. It was wild. And then it turned out that, like, I don't know, there was all kinds of connections with, because Barry's got a lot of connections out there, because that's where he grew up. He's got a lot of friends. He's got a lot of supporters out there. So this case has been wild. This case has been wild. And, going back to Barry selling the house, he didn't waste any time, man. He just got right to it, started doing his stuff. He's all about money, 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 money. And one of the things that I don't think his lawyers are telling him, or maybe they are, and maybe he doesn't care, but he's really taken a big chance by filing this lawsuit. I want to show you guys a video here real quick. This is another lawyer, and he's not affiliated with this case at all, but he's just kind of given like some legal advice. And he's even saying that Barry's taking a big chance by filing this lawsuit, because what's going to happen is he's going to waive his right to remain silent. And what they're going to do, we could turn around and what is it when you depose somebody, when you put them under deposition? And he loses his right to remain silent, so they can get him on the stand, depose him, and ask him all kinds of questions. and he can't use his Miranda rights anymore. This is what I understand. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on one second. All right, I'm gonna see if I can disappear here for a second. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, I think it's this one here.
And now, every single person he is suing has the right to question Morphew under what's called a deposition, where anything he says can and will be used against him in court.
When he brings a lawsuit, he's giving up that right to remain silent and can absolutely be deposed. If he's deposed and answers questions, it could lead to more charges being filed going forward.
That's an interesting risk.
Is it worth $15 million? It's not to me.
Both the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI declined our request for comment tonight, as did District Attorney Linda Stanley.
All right, guys. So there you have it. It was basically, he said it a lot better than I did, but basically Barry's taking a big chance by filing this lawsuit because now the prosecution can turn around and depose him, and he waives his right to remain silent. So now they can ask him all kinds of other questions. So what do you guys think of that? Let's go. I'm going to go over here to the questions now, guys. I'm going to take a timeout and go over here and go to the questions, go to the comments. So if you guys want to ask any questions. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, AJ. It's just one angle, so it'll be interesting to see how the prosecution maneuvers moving forward. See if they do depose him, which I'm sure they will. But, Barry has always been all about money. And I say that with confidence because I've talked to a lot of people that knew him back in high school, that knew him ever since he was a little kid back in Indiana. You guys that have followed this case know that he was kind of like a baseball player, like minor league baseball player. So he got a little taste of money, a little taste of fame, and he really let it go to his head. And he's been really super cocky and very materialistic and money driven ever since. So this is no surprise to me. In fact, I thought it would be more than 15 million. I truly did. I thought it would be a lot more. I mean, because he's really shooting for the stars here. So, but, I don't know if you guys had a chance to go read the lawsuit. You probably didn't, because that's why you're here, to listen to me, because I said I did. But really, I mean, all it was is it's just a rebuttal to the affidavit, right? It's just a rebuttal to the affidavit. Everything the affidavit said, which was very long and detailed and complicated, it was just kind of rebuttal to that. And it was interesting. But it was, it was obvious that, to me, it's been obvious since day one, guys, that Barry, he knows what's going on. And he's just, really, honestly, it's all about money, right? It's never been about, hey, let's go try to find Suzanne, let's go try to organize a search party and let's get out there and really try to do this. Let's put ourselves in front of the media. If you think about Elizabeth Smart's dad in Utah, he was in front of the cameras every single day. And there's been a lot of other people like that. And I like to think that if any of our loved ones went missing, that's the way we would be, right? We'd be in front of the camera and we'd be doing YouTube channels and we'd be talking with everybody we could, trying to stir up any kind of information, any kind of details, and the fact that he's neglected to do that, all because why, Barry, why? Because his pride's hurt? Because he doesn't like to be picked on by the media? Give me a freaking break, dude. What a joke. What a horrible excuse. And this hasn't stopped. Really, we only have a few words from Barry. We got Barry on my video. we got him on Good Morning America. We got him on and just briefly on there. He just kind of let his girls talk. He didn't even say much on there. So shame on him, man. Shame on him. So I don't know, man. It's been emotional. It's been tough for a lot of people. But the more time that goes by, the more evil you start to realize Barry truly is. I had the opportunity to call Jeff Liebler, Suzanne's boyfriend or lover, whatever you want to call him, out in Michigan. And he wouldn't answer, but I left a message on his answering machine. And I told him who I was. I said, listen, I want you to give me a call back. I want to talk to you about the Suzanne Morphew case. And I'm sure he's not going to. He probably had 100 people call him, but hey, I'm going to keep trying. I know he's a key witness for when we do find Suzanne's body, and this does go to trial. He's going to be a key witness. So maybe, it's probably better that he's not saying anything right now. But I am a little disappointed in him for hiding and just not coming out. I mean, if he truly did love Suzanne and cared about her and wanted to find her and stuff like that, I feel like he should just step out and say, this is what was going on. This is what happened. I'll do whatever I can to try to help find her. But I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but that's just kind of my feelings on it, especially at this point. So if you guys haven't had a chance to read the lawsuit, just kind of thumb through it. You'll find it interesting. The DNA, that's pretty interesting to me because, because I'm from Arizona and I'm interested to know who this person is. I don't know, I don't know how, I'm not law enforcement, so I don't know how it works. I don't know, because what if that DNA was there when she bought the car, right? Does that make sense? I mean, is that possible to have DNA last? I don't know how long she had the car, but the fact that they found it supposedly on the bike too is, very strange. So, I mean, they raised some good points, and I believe in the Constitution. I believe in everything that our country stands for. I believe in getting a fair trial. So, I'm not mad about some of the questions that they have or some of the stuff that they brought up, but and it is interesting. Some of that stuff is pretty interesting. I'm going to have to look a little more into that DNA and find out, what's going on with that. So, another thing that was brought out in the lawsuit was the situation when Sheila Oliver was at Barry's house and she was visiting Suzanne, and they're sitting around. I think it was Suzanne, Macy, and Sheila, and they were sitting around having a good time, talking, laughing, joking, watching a movie, whatever. All of a sudden they hear this big old noise outside, and it startled them enough that Suzanne actually called 911, and they had a copy of the 911 call, and Suzanne was saying, hey, I got somebody outside of my house, and it turns out it was Barry. So, but they're saying that the defense is saying that it was Barry just coming home and doing his normal stuff, shooting squirrels or whatever he's doing out there. And they all laughed and joked about it, and they discontinued the 911 call. But according to Sheila Oliver, there's a whole different story. That Barry was stalking her, and Barry was trying to listen in on their conversations and snooping around. So, we can only go on the limited information that we have, but according to what we have, I tend to believe Sheila Oliver, especially since Suzanne was confiding in her as her closest friend, some of the problems in the marriage. So I don't know why she would make that up and say that Suzanne felt like Barry was stalking her and trying to listen in on her conversations and things like that. So I'm sure he was. I'm sure Barry was jealous. You know, he does strike me as the jealous type for sure. So, all right. I said I was going over here to the questions. Let me go over here real quick now. Okay, right here. Martin Smallwood, bet it wasn't the first time Suzanne called 911. I don't know, maybe not. Not sure on that, but when Suzanne met up with Jeff Liebler in New Orleans, and that was one of the times that Barry supposedly had grabbed her phone, or was suspicious about that trip. And so he was starting to catch on to some of the things that was going on, get suspicious. So, but here's my thing though is, and guys, I may sound ignorant when I say this, I just don't know. But remember in the beginning, we were all wondering what happened to the security cameras at the house, at the Morphew house. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that? Like, why weren't the security cameras working? Like, so much could be answered by those security cameras. And, Jeff Liebler supposedly had told the FBI guys that the detectives that he was told that he couldn't go over to Suzanne's house because of the security cameras. That Suzanne's like, hey, you can't come over to our house because we got security cameras over here. So what the heck happened to those? All right, Tyson, you say no such thing as coincidences. Maybe this is destiny. What goes around comes around tenfold. Okay, so guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you guys a favor. And this is going to be the last video I make before this happens, because I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask for your help. I'm going to ask you for help on two different things. Number one, I want you guys to, if you're religious, whatever your denomination is or whatever your religion is, I don't care what it is, and you have a way of praying, I want you to pray this week. Pray for me, pray for Suzanne, and pray for everybody that's on our side of things, and all the people who are trying to find Suzanne's body. I want you guys to pray, and if you know what fasting is, I want you to fast as well. Now, according to the way I was raised in my religion, fasting means we go 24 hours without food. And I'm going to ask you guys to, if you have something like that, whatever it is, you guys do that as well, and just try to pray as much as you can. And this next week is going to be, of course, Mother's Day. Well, a week from tomorrow. But we're having a little get together in Salida, just outside of Salida. And I'm going to be there. I've decided I'm going to go. And if you guys want to, the second thing I'm going to ask, if you guys would like to donate any money or any supplies or anything like that, I can put my Venmo address up here. Let me put it up here on the screen real fast. It's Tyson Draper _1, or the number 1, I think, something like that. So I'm gonna see if that goes up there. Okay. I think it's that right there. You should be able to find it. And I think once you find it, you'll know it's me. But if you guys want to donate any money for gas or any supplies for the little get together that we're having up there or anything, just let me know. And I'm going to head up there. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend a few days before the little meeting that we have, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to search for Suzanne. I'm going to search for Suzanne and actually put my boots on the ground. And I've been tossing that idea around back and forth, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I can't deny these feelings that I'm having, and I've just got to go with them, guys. And So if you guys want to support me in that, I know you guys have supported me a lot in the past, and it's been so appreciated. But let's give it one more shot, and let's get out there and just see if anybody from the Salida area wants to join me. You can email me at T_Draper100@hotmail.com. I think Suzanne needs us more than ever, especially with all this stuff going on. We got to fight back, and we got to match the intensity. We got to match the energy. And I'm only one person, so if there's anybody that wants to join me, if they want to help out, let me know. So it should be a big week next week. See what else I wanted to talk about here. I think it's interesting that Barry's going this route. He's taking a big chance. He's taking a big chance. I do want to say this in conclusion, guys. I want to thank FBI agent John Grusing for his efforts and all the work that he put in this case, and also all those guys that are listed in that lawsuit. I want to tip my hat to those people and say, hang in there, keep your head up, and thank you for your service. I know that there's a lot of people who are upset with Linda Stanley and some of these other people, and I don't really get into a lot of the politics of it, and whether that's right or wrong, I don't really care. But I do it for my own reasons, for my own health and my own sanity. But I want to say thank you to all those people who have put a tremendous amount of work into this case, and it's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's just beginning. Stay tuned. We got a lot of good stuff to come, guys. Love y'all. Peace out.